Imagine an ancient biblical promise made to Ishmael, the firstborn son of Abraham, as the potential origin of entire nations that still hold influence in the Middle East today. Behind each great nation, each fascinating culture that has stood the test of time, lies the quiet yet massive impact of these 12 tribes. What few people realize is that this promise, made thousands of years ago, reshaped the regions we know today and still echoes in their traditions, values, and customs. But is it really possible that an ancestral lineage continues to shape the future of modern nations? What secrets lie hidden in the desert sands within the cultures that formed what we now call the Middle East? Join us and uncover how Ishmael's journey and his tribes influenced the destiny of an entire people, and what this might still reveal about our world today. To understand the context in which Ishmael's tribes emerged, we first need to understand the promise of God and how these tribes arose from Ishmael. Ishmael, the first son of Abraham, was born from an unusual union. Abraham, already advanced in age, and his wife Sarah received a divine promise of a numerous lineage. Yet as Sarah remained childless, she offered her servant Hagar so that Abraham might have an heir. Thus Ishmael was born, yet his journey and destiny would be bound to a unique promise. God assured Hagar that Ishmael would not only survive, but would thrive, and despite being born to a servant, he would have a grand future. In Genesis 16:10, the promise is clear: God would greatly multiply Ishmael's descendants. The divine vision for him was that he would become the father of a great nation, a powerful and fertile legacy meant to carry forward Abraham's name. With Ishmael's birth, his mother Hagar led him through the desert with courage and resilience, during hard times and even banishment. In Genesis 21:18, God renewed his promise to Ishmael, instructing Hagar to lift her son up, for he would father a great nation. In that moment, God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water, a sign of divine presence and a promise of security. In the harsh desert, water symbolized life and hope for them. Thus, Ishmael grew under God's protection and blessing, becoming an archer and a man of the desert, familiar with hardships, but shaped by the promise of prosperity that followed him. His life came to reflect the resilience and strength of his lineage. As the years went by, Ishmael not only grew but learned to survive and thrive in the arid and challenging conditions of the desert. His lineage grew alongside him, marked by God's promise. For a man like Ishmael, who lived as a nomad in the unforgiving desert, this promise was a beacon, a reassurance that he would leave a lasting legacy. He became a natural leader among his people, guiding those who, like him, wandered the desert in search of sustenance and stability. Ishmael's name became known and respected, representing God's promise that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Ishmael was a man of indomitable spirit, forged by his circumstances and the promise he carried. In his role as leader, he understood that each day brought new challenges and new opportunities. God's promise echoed in Ishmael's life as a living heritage, something he would pass down to his descendants. And like his father Abraham, Ishmael instilled this faith in God into his children, creating an identity in his lineage based on the divine promise of prosperity and growth. Indeed, Ishmael grew and established himself as a patriarch, ready to leave a legacy that would honor God's promise made to his mother and to him, ensuring that each of his descendants would know the origin and significance of their lineage. At the end of his journey, Ishmael had the satisfaction of seeing this promise take form with the birth of 12 sons. Each one, blessed and destined to become a leader of a tribe, represented a living link to God's original promise to Ishmael. These sons of Ishmael were like seeds cast into the desert, taking root amid the sand and wind, thriving despite the adversity. They would spread across the Arabian desert, forming distinct lineages, united by their father's heritage. Thus, with the birth of Nebioth, Kedar, Adbeel, Mishma, Dumar, Massa, Hadad, Tamer, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema, the promise was fulfilled, with each son set to perpetuate the name of Ishmael and Abraham's legacy. Nebioth, Ishmael's firstborn, holds a significant place among his descendants as the first of the 12 sons to establish a distinct people. The Bible mentions him in Genesis 25:13, identifying him as the beginning of God's promise to Ishmael. Nebioth's tribe settled over centuries in what is now Jordan, especially in Petra, a site central to their story. Petra, with its buildings carved into the mountains, reflects the ingenuity of its people. the Nabataeans, showcasing skills passed down by their ancestors. Later, this site became a crucial city on the trade route, embodying the strength and adaptability of the tribe of Ishmael. The Nabataeans, identified as Nebaioth's descendants, not only inhabited Petra, but transformed the city into a cultural and economic hub in the desert. Known for their prowess as traders, they controlled major routes connecting the east to the Mediterranean, transporting prized goods like spices, incense, and myrrh. Their strategic location allowed them to develop a prosperous society through commerce, and their culture intertwined with other Arab peoples. Today, the Nabataean heritage remains visible in local traditions, and the characteristic Arab hospitality that values welcoming travelers and respecting foreigners. Nebaioth's legacy is therefore intimately connected to cultural wealth and control over trade routes. His lineage was not only one of warriors, but also of innovators and facilitators of exchange. The irrigation techniques used by the Nabataeans, including rainwater harvesting and reservoir systems, reveal an advanced understanding of desert necessities. These methods enabled Petra and other settlements to thrive in arid landscapes, showcasing the tribe of Ishmael's adaptability. Today, remnants of these structures can be seen in Petra, attracting tourists and historians alike who seek to understand this people's ingenuity. Over time, Nebaioth and the Nabataeans' influence spread beyond Petra. The Nabataeans also settled nearby areas, such as Saudi Arabia, with their descendants helping to form the foundation of some modern Arab communities. The culture and practices inherited from this tribe shaped traditions, values, and even the Arabic language, reinforcing the bond between the children of Ishmael and the contemporary Arab world. The Nabataean tradition, marked by independence and desert knowledge, remains an essential part of regional identity. In terms of cultural impact, Nebaioth's legacy and his Nabataean descendants are at the heart of Arab culture. Many customs, such as the appreciation of art in architecture and hospitality, reflect this heritage. In Petra's architecture, one can observe Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences, demonstrating that the Nabataeans absorbed and integrated elements from other societies while maintaining their own traditions, making them unique among Arab peoples. Nebaioth's influence extended beyond the desert, reaching areas now occupied by modern tribes in Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Thus, Nebaioth and the Nabataeans planted deep roots in the history and culture of the Middle East. Even after centuries, Nebaioth's name remains remembered through his lineage, which represents the strength and resilience of a people who grew under God's promise to Ishmael. Today, Petra stands as a visible landmark of the tribe of Ishmael, a living testament to Nebaioth's heritage and influence. Kedar, Ishmael's second son, became one of the most notable leaders among Abraham's descendants, with a tribe that would soon spread across the vast Arabian Peninsula. In Scripture, Kedar's name appears frequently, underscoring his descendants' importance and their enduring presence in remote desert areas. In Isaiah 21:16-17, we read that the sons of Kedar lived in the desert, residing in tents and following a nomadic lifestyle. This people, occupying northern Arabia, adapted to their harsh environment and became renowned for their warrior skills and detailed knowledge of the desert. Their strength and resilience mirrored the legacy of the tribe of Ishmael, who found both a way of life and an identity in the desert. The tribe of Kedar was primarily made up of Bedouins, desert people who knew the nuances of arid routes and survived in extreme conditions. Kedar's descendants were known for their warrior spirit and archery skills, talents they used for both hunting and defending their territories and herds. The desert was their natural fortress, and they developed survival techniques still visible among Bedouin tribes inhabiting regions like Saudi Arabia and the UAE. Kedar's ability to thrive where few others could demonstrates how his lineage learned to adapt to the climate and constant challenges of nomadic desert life. Kedar's tribe was also famous for its wealth in livestock, particularly camels and sheep, which served both as a food source and currency. In Jeremiah 49:28-29, we read about Kedar's tents and goods, a people who valued their animals as essential to life. These herds were vital for their survival in the desert, and owning them symbolized wealth and security for Kedar's people. Through trading animals and other goods, Kedar's descendants created bonds with neighboring tribes, gaining regional respect and influence among the desert's tribes. As time passed, Bedouin culture and Kedar's traditions deeply influenced the social customs of Arab tribes. Their ability to move quickly across the desert and the independence characteristic of Bedouin tribes became central elements in Arab culture, and many of these values are attributed to Kedar's lineage. They rigorously maintained their traditions, passing these customs to their children to ensure future generations understood the biblical origins of their heritage. The Bedouins of today, Kedar's descendants, still uphold many of these practices, including strict hospitality and respect for family alliances. Kedar's lineage also played an important role in the trade routes crisscrossing the Arabian Peninsula. In caravans, they traversed the Arabian desert to far-off regions, transporting goods like incense, spices, and fine fabrics. Kedar's people became key players in the development of trade routes that linked the Arabian Peninsula to other parts of the Middle East, the Mediterranean, and even farther east. These routes brought prosperity and enabled cultural exchanges among tribes and neighboring nations. While some tribes remain in arid lands, others like Dumar extended their influence to different territories, spreading Ishmael's promise across the region. Dumar established his tribe's influence in the desert regions between Syria and northern Saudi Arabia. The Bible mentions Dumar as a resident of an area historically known as Dumah al-Jandal, located in present-day northern Saudi Arabia. This strategic spot in the Syrian desert served as a rest and refuge for caravans crossing the desert toward the Levant. Dumah al-Jandal thrived over the centuries due to the constant flow of traders, hunters, and nomads who depended on it to endure the hardships of desert routes. Thus, Dumar and his descendants left a lasting mark on local traditions and geography. Dumar's strategic position in the Syrian desert was crucial for connecting different territories, allowing his tribe to prosper both in trade and alliances with other desert peoples. Dumah al-Jandal's natural fortress, surrounded by mountains and with water sources, transformed the place into a safe haven for travelers. Dumar's descendants developed advanced methods for storing and using water from springs, ensuring they could withstand drought and extreme desert conditions. This survival skill was crucial for the tribe's strength, which remained fortified and respected among those crossing these arid lands. In addition to protection and trade routes, Dumar's culture included a strong tradition of protecting visitors and travelers. Ancient accounts describe the hospitality offered by Dumar's descendants, who took care to ensure the safety and comfort of those passing through their territories. This hospitality, essential to desert peoples, was more than formality. It was a matter of survival. Travelers crossing the Syrian desert knew they could count on Dumar's tribe's generosity and protection. This trait in the children of Ishmael made Dumar's tribe respected and widely known along Syria and Arabia's routes. Dumar's descendants were also renowned for their trading skills and ability to forge alliances with other tribes in the region. Dumah al-Jandal's location was strategic for transporting goods like incense, spices, and minerals, making Dumar's tribe a key point for trade in the Syrian desert. These descendants of Abraham maintained a constant flow of goods between Arabia and northern regions over generations, boosting the local economy and strengthening Dumar's role as a guardian of desert routes. This position made their tribe one of the most respected and sought after, both as partners and as a safe haven. Over time, the Dumah al-Jandal area consolidated as a center of cultural exchange. Dumar's tribe, with its adaptability and advantageous geographical position, influenced the customs and practices of neighboring tribes. In addition to trade, stories and customs from Dumar's descendants traveled with merchants and nomads, carrying their traditions beyond the borders of the Syrian desert. Today, traces of the children of Ishmael's culture can still be found in northern Saudi Arabia and parts of Syria, echoing the legacy Dumar and his lineage left in the heart of the desert. Just as Dumar rooted himself in northern Arabia, other sons of Ishmael found fertile ground for their tribes within the Arabian Peninsula. One example is Tamer, who established himself near Jordan in a key region for caravans, forming his own lineage and further strengthening the promise God made to Ishmael. Tamer settled in an area now located between Saudi Arabia and Jordan, a crucial territory for desert caravan traffic. The city of Tamer in northwestern Saudi Arabia still bears Tamer's name and heritage, standing out as an important stop for travelers and merchants. This location between the Arabian desert and Jordan became strategic, ensuring prosperity for Tamer's tribe, which provided shelter, food, and water to travelers. Tamer's ability to secure a place along caravan routes where travelers could find refuge and rest made his tribe an important player in trade routes. As mentioned in biblical texts, Tamer became known for the quality of its wells and the fertility of its lands amidst the desert. Tamer's tribe is credited with advanced knowledge of water storage and collection techniques, which allowed survival in such a hostile environment. This skill in managing water resources ensured that the tribe thrived for centuries and earned respect and authority among other desert peoples. Tamer became a reference point for Arab hospitality, recognized for offering sanctuary to those who needed a safe place on long journeys. Tamer's descendants also excelled as skilled merchants, using their advantageous location to interact with people passing through the region. Tamer's tribe thus became a link between different cultures, providing a place for trade and exchange in the middle of the desert's arid routes. Caravans passing through Tamer carried valuable goods like incense and myrrh from southern Arabia, along with fabrics and metals from other regions, creating a rich trading network between the Arabian Peninsula and the Mediterranean. The tribe's influence and local trade control contributed to consolidating its position in the region, making northwestern Saudi Arabia an essential point on ancient trade maps. Besides trade, Tamer's tribe was also known for its social organization. Tamer's descendants valued hierarchy and the wisdom of elders, preserving traditions passed down through generations. This social structure allowed the tribe to maintain order and cohesion even during conflicts or scarcity. Tamer's tribe's strong structure is still visible in contemporary Bedouin culture, especially in Jordan and northwestern Saudi Arabia, where reverence for traditions and elders' advice remains a common practice. These customs are direct remnants of Tamer's lineage, one of the strongest pillars of the children of Ishmael. Tamer was a true haven, and Tamer's name became synonymous with hospitality and security for those crossing the arid lands of northern Arabia. Travelers and nomads passing through knew they would find sustenance, and this hospitality tradition is still present today in the region's cultural practices. The Bedouins of northern Saudi Arabia and Jordan honor their ancestors' traditions, preserving the values of honor and hospitality that were pillars of Tamer's tribe. This cultural trait, passed down over generations, strengthens the connection between the children of Ishmael and contemporary Arab cultures. As Tamer settled in lands that today connect Saudi Arabia and Jordan, other tribes of Ishmael took their own paths, such as Adbeel and Mishma. Adbeel and Mishma, two of Ishmael's sons, established their tribes near the Persian Gulf, a region of great importance for the tribe of Ishmael's trade and cultural expansion. Located near what are now Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain, these descendants of Abraham became vital connection points for trade routes along the eastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula. With access to the Gulf and strategic ports, Adbeel and Mishma's tribes specialized in maritime trade and the exchange of valuable goods. Through their hands passed spices, fine fabrics, precious metals, and other coveted items, drawing attention from distant peoples and cementing the tribe of Ishmael's influence in these lands. Adbeel and Mishma took advantage of the coastal location to expand their trading domains. The Persian Gulf waters opened pathways for cultural and economic interactions with various regions of the Middle East. Besides controlling ports, these tribes established alliances with foreign traders who traveled far in search of unique products like Arabian incense and the Gulf's famous amber. This trade brought prosperity and innovation, enabling Adbeel and Mishma's tribes to adapt and thrive in a world of constant change. In no time, this connection to the sea became one of the most distinctive traits of these Ishmaelite lineages. Adbeel and Mishma's tribes were also renowned for their navigation skills. They developed boat-building techniques suited to the Persian Gulf's challenges, including vessels that could handle tidal variations and navigate coastal and river waters. These vessels allowed the children of Ishmael to travel more easily and quickly, contributing to the expansion of trade routes. Their mastery of the sea reinforced Adbeel and Mishma's positions as commercial leaders, and the ports under their control became true centers of cultural exchange. This skill in seafaring and commerce not only increased the tribe's influence, but also solidified their regional importance, ensuring God's promise to Ishmael was fulfilled. Besides commerce, the wealth accumulated by Adbeel and Mishma's tribes allowed them to develop a prosperous social structure. These descendants of Abraham soon spread their influence and became respected figures among Arab tribes. Their resources and contact with diverse cultures strengthened the tribe's way of life, making them known for their generosity and hospitality. Traders arriving at their ports found not only trading partners, but also hosts who valued respect and knowledge sharing. This tradition of generosity resonates to this day in the hospitality characteristic of Gulf cultures, where welcoming others is a symbol of honor and tradition. Adbeel and Mishma's descendants, like other Ishmaelite tribes, were instrumental in linking the Arabian interior to the outside world. The peoples passing through these ports carried fragments of the children of Ishmael's traditions, spreading customs, stories, and practices to distant lands. Thus, Abraham's traditions and his descendants extended beyond the Arabian Peninsula, reinforcing Ishmael's legacy among neighboring and far-off cultures. Today, the names of some places and families near the Persian Gulf still hint at these tribes' lineage, an echo from the past that remains alive. Their traditions, practices, and knowledge shaped cultures that still stand out across Arabia, strengthening the cultural identity of Arab peoples. The influence of the children of Ishmael stretches into the language, customs, and social practices, remaining fundamental elements of the cultural heritage that pervades the Middle East today. Over centuries, Ishmael's descendant tribes profoundly shaped Arab culture, preserving and passing down traditions still evident in today's Middle Eastern nations. From God's promise to Ishmael, guaranteeing him a prosperous and numerous lineage, each tribe established cultural practices that transformed into essential elements of Arab identity. Hospitality, for example, is one of the strongest traits inherited from the children of Ishmael. In lands that were often arid and hostile, welcoming visitors and travelers became a vital value, preserved through generations and deeply respected across the Arabian Peninsula. The Bedouins, direct descendants of tribes like Kedar and Dumar, still carry this welcoming attitude in their traditions, a pillar of their inherited culture. The Arabic language also reflects Ishmaelite influence, with roots reaching back to ancient times. The children of Ishmael, in their nomadic lives and trade exchanges, developed a unique form of communication that combined expressiveness with precision. This language, which evolved over centuries, is now one of the world's richest and most influential. In dialects spoken in regions like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Oman, one finds the essence of the speech of ancient Ishmaelites, adapted and enriched by contact with diverse peoples. The richness of Arabic, including its poetry and storytelling, preserves the spirit of Ishmael's ancestors, serving as a crucial tool for passing down the values and identity of Ishmael's tribes. The social practices inherited from Ishmael's tribes, such as respect for elders and valuing family advice, still permeate relationships among Arab tribes. Elders are seen as guardians of traditions and stories, passing down knowledge of the tribe's origins and divine promises. In each tribe, the word of the elders is respected and valued, reflecting the importance given to ancestry and lineage continuity. These values, essential to the Ishmael tribe's survival in the desert, still strongly influence the social organization of tribes and families in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other Middle Eastern regions. Art and music also have roots in Ishmael's tribal traditions. Among the Bedouins, songs and poems are orally passed down, often accompanied by traditional desert instruments. These artistic expressions celebrate the victories, losses, and survival stories of the children of Ishmael, who learned to endure hardships. Classic Arabic poetry, famous for its depth and use of metaphor, also traces back to the earliest generations of Ishmael's descendants. This heritage, preserved over centuries, highlights the importance of oral history and storytelling, allowing the identity and wisdom of Ishmael's tribes to remain part of contemporary Arab culture. Another remarkable trait is the appreciation for independence and self-sufficiency. Ishmaelite tribes learned to rely on their skills to survive in the desert, maintaining an autonomy that persists in many aspects of Arab life today. The tradition of adaptation and resilience passed down through generations remains a preserved value, especially among the Bedouins, who still practice nomadism and keep customs inherited from the children of Ishmael. These values shaped not only the tribe's way of life, but also their approach to modern challenges, inspiring pride in their origin and a strong connection to the past. Just as Ishmael's tribes deeply influenced Arab culture, the divine promise made to him remains alive in the formation of modern Arab nations. Each lineage, with its identity and particularities, contributes to Abraham's legacy and the creation of a diverse culture unified by its roots. As we remember the journey of Ishmael's tribes and their marks on the present, we witness the fulfilled promise in each nation, strengthening the identity and values of Middle Eastern peoples. In the end, each of Ishmael's tribes played a unique role in shaping the Middle East, and their impact extends beyond physical borders. The traditions, customs, and spirit of the children of Ishmael compose a heritage that continues to shape and inspire contemporary Arab societies. Today, as we reflect on the legacy of the 12 tribes, we see Ishmael's presence in every nation that preserves its values and origins. The promise is fulfilled not only in the multiplication of nations, but also in the continuity of traditions that connect them to Abraham and the divine plan. This cultural and spiritual impact of Ishmael's tribes reaffirms the importance of biblical origins in shaping modern Arab nations. Each tribe, with its unique story and characteristics, carries Ishmael's promise into the regions they occupy. And as we remember the paths traced by Abraham's descendants, we see how time has preserved this heritage, keeping Ishmael's memory and his lineage alive for future generations. Now that you've uncovered the roots and impact of Ishmael's 12 tribes, do you see how the story and promise of an ancient people still shape identities, values, and modern cultures? What you've learned here may change how you view the Middle East and the deep connections between past and present. But what about your own legacy? How do these traditions and stories influence what we believe today? If this piqued your curiosity for more revealing stories and profound knowledge, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and don't forget to leave a like. Here we continue exploring the legacies that shape our world. Share what surprised you, leave a comment about what you learned, and join this conversation that powerfully and transformatively links past and present. See you in the next video, and may God be with you.